If you want to chime in on what's happening with your favorite KFAN programs, you can make yourself heard on the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Let us know what you got to say by texting that message to 64686. That's 64686. Send a message to Data Rates Supply.
So, how have you been, old friend?
I've been great. How have you been? Great to see you.
Yeah, you too. It's so great to see you.
The hair's looking good. It's trim.
Thank you.
You got a little wild last time I saw you.
So great to see you for the first time since January 23rd, year of our Lord, 2026. Oh! How are the wife and kids?
Everybody's doing great. Yeah, kids are great. Wife's doing well. I mean, she tells me she's happy. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but we don't go past that first question. No, things are great in the house. The kids are doing really well. Everybody's happy and healthy. We're in basketball season and towards the end of Madden's high school career here. We're counting down. Section final tonight, so got to win or go home.
Right on. Are you vetting out how Grey Duck will play in Nashville?
It'll do well. I don't know why. Why would I need to vet that out?
Well, it will do well, but I mean, I can't imagine that you would relocate everything to Nashville and have this venture you created. What is it? Close to a decade ago now?
It's 9 years.
9 years.
But what we do is we take the same concept and we rename it something Tennessean.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
What
We
would
get.
that be?
I don't know.
Volunteer duck.
We can do something. It don't matter. We just go take the same concept down there and just expand and grow.
Yeah. Hawkinson and George Kittle live there.
Yeah.
And maybe you can join their super special Monday night curling league.
I'm in.
Team if you happen to relocate.
Finally get an athlete in there. Yeah, I should join them. I should do that.
Yeah, it's I don't know when this happened. Somewhere in the last during the Olympics, Jared Allen joined 9 to noon. We're talking about curling because curling was on TV around the clock.
Yep.
And so we're talking about this new venture he has starting in April, and he mentioned T.J. Hawkinson and George Kittle live here. They're really close friends. And before I started thinking about, are we going to trade Hawkinson to San Francisco for Mac Jones? All right, before I stopped thinking about that, I thought, wow, holy cow. They're both in Nashville. So, and they got this curling league they play in on Monday nights. I mean, it's like they're slowly rolling out a red carpet state by state for Team Greenway. And I asked Jared Allen, you still talk to Greenway? He mentioned some group chat or whatever.
Yep.
And it's like, I get a feeling he might move to Nashville. Yeah. And he's like, I don't know about that, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, love Minnesota for everything it's given me. And the nice part is as the snow goes away, I just fall more in love with this state again. It's just the doldrums of January and February. You come out of this thing. Also, I can see grass. That's amazing. Just these last couple of days.
No dispensaries in Tennessee, so you won't see grass there.
There you go. Another good point. Lake's going to be open probably next few weeks.
Ooh.
Away you go. Water's moving. We're back at it.
All right, we'll write this down just in case you're interested.
Okay.
1358 Page Road. 1358 Page Road. It's on the outskirts of Nashville. Amazing place on 6 acres. Has 9 bathrooms. It's $22 million.
Wait a second.
I mean,
I might have looked at this one before.
You made a lot of money. You saved a lot of money. It's very important to you. I'm not going to say you're on the cheap side. I'll say you're on the frugal side.
Hey, that's the Greenway in me. That's my Grandpa Greenway.
Put it in there. 1358 Page Road.
I'm going to go buy this thing
in
today.
Nashville. $22 million.
I don't know if I can
9
afford
bathrooms,
that.
6 bedrooms.
I don't think I can afford that, but we'll just figure it out.
Madden's going to be so good in Lexington, she's going to require 2 bedrooms, 1 to store the trophies.
I think I might just have to take her money, just buy this house.
You get it yet?
Oh yeah.
How about that? Is that not you?
I'm in. Everybody's nice.
22
Kind of get
mil.
that old world feel. We had to redo some curtains. We had to redo some tapestries in this thing. Some
you need
green
curtains.
in there.
See, for mansions like that with the Victorian feel,
for all those looking at this thing right now.
Forget the freaking blinds. You need these cool curtains with the window open in spring.
It's like the Yankees pinstripe, but green. It's just terrible.
And the curtains are blowing, man.
Hey, we oh gosh, we gotta get rid of that one too.
Yeah.
What do they do here? That's a mistake.
Yeah, you need a Grey Duck room.
Man alive.
Madden
you know
needs 2 rooms.
I got a couple different properties I'll show you that are in this area that are much better. So
really?
Yeah. You got to get on
for a lot less.
I stream.
Chad Greenway ain't spending $22 million.
You got to have $22 million.
House, though.
You got to have $22 million to spend, but in
order to have pulled it up.
You got to play quarterback.
Looking for one of those side houses,
Man,
whatever they're called, the secondary houses on the property.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hey, you're in.
Yeah.
Everybody needs a
place for us to stay.
Garden boy, pool boy, whatever.
Yeah.
What do you look like with your shirt off? No, take your shirt off real quick. Let me see if
22,000 square feet.
Is that what it is?
Who's going to clean that?
6-bedroom. Well, the cleaner he has now, he'll fly in
weekly,
and then she'll bring a couple of cohorts.
God, that sounds good. That's why you got to play quarterback these days. I mean, what the salary cap's over $300 million. I mean, I need to go back. Just go back and play for another couple years.
Well, speaking of that,
unbelievable.
With Chad Greenway, who was a first-round draft pick by the Vikings in 2006, played through 2016, left on his own terms, which is cool. We have an acting general manager who I think will be the full-time general manager once the proverbial dust clears.
Of whom I love.
But it might not even be the general manager name. It may just be different. And they brought this cat in named Matt Thomas, who I've never met. But talking to George Payton, general manager of the Broncos at the Combine, and some other people around Thomas, it's like a bunch of teams tried to get him out of retirement the last year and a half, 2 years. And he decided that, okay, I'll come out of retirement, relocate for a spell to Minnesota to help with the capologist part. So therefore, if this guy's rolling into Brzezinski's role now, and Brzezinski rolls into another role now, I mean, if you hire somebody else, what do you do with Briz? Yeah. This guy's in your chair.
Got to give him the job. I think it's the way it goes. I mean, I think I'm so excited for these next 2 to 3 months, 4 months, whatever it is, so we get to the draft, less than that, to see how this takes shape with a guy like Brzezinski looking at it from his perspective.
Yeah.
And using the personnel department, the scouting department that is out in the world, that every day on college campuses, looking at film, looking at kids, understanding who they are, and then relying on them, which every GM does. But how much do you rely on your own opinion over somebody else's who's pitching you a kid that they love?
Yeah.
And maybe Brzezinski's perspective of that will be different since he's coming into this anew and fresh and different and seeing the game for 30 years. He's been around it from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And coming into a year where we have all sorts of cap issues and financial stress. So how can we work that thing out? It's going to be really fun to see. I'm so excited for our fan base because of the fact that he's running this operation, and I think it's going to be really good.
What if he crushes the draft? I mean, because it's...
What do you mean, what if? He's going to be the GM, and we're going to pay him whatever he wants to get us to the Super Bowl every year.
But the last X amount of years, I don't know about you, man, but it's been hard to pigeonhole or figure out who's picking whom and why.
Yep.
So even in free agency, so Grenard and Van Ginkel
splashy. But
then you'll get people saying, "Well, that wasn't Kwesi, that was Flores."
Right.
Well, I mean, okay, then how come when things are terrible, it's Kwesi?
Yeah, the GM needs to take credit for those situations because you're using it's your decision. You pull the string, you make the decision, you write the contract. But all those factors you're talking to Flores. Does he fit the scheme? How are you going to use him? Does the money work? You're talking to these groups. It's not like there's a schism. You're simply saying who gets the credit and who's taking the blame. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, the GM's should fall to the GM every time. Because he's the one making the final decision, taking all the cards that are on the table and saying, yep, that's the direction we're going, final call. And in some cases it works and you get extensions. In some cases it doesn't and you get fired.
But see, that's why they roll new money man in. So Brzezinski's chair is full.
Yep.
So what are you going to do with Briz if he doesn't stay in the current role moving forward? That's why I think it's fait accompli.
Yeah.
But how brilliant could this be by the organization when it comes to getting credit for things personnel-wise that work or getting slammed when things don't work? He doesn't have to have the GM tag.
Yeah.
I always love that one.
Yeah.
We don't have a GM to rip or to praise, but we really do.
Maybe it's the new model. Maybe we're creating a new model, right?
And tried that last time with Kwesi. Anyway, so go ahead.
Just positionless basketball, we have positionless executives.
Yeah, and that sort of worked. We had the triangle of power back in the day, and then there's a schism, and we all learned a new word back in the old days of Childress. But I think what you bring him in because you want to take some of that load off of Brzezinski to support him in what he's doing, because now you're trying to wear these two really big hats and decisions, and you have all this stuff coming at you. Now all of a sudden you're the lead on the player personnel department, the scouting department. You're trying to put all this stuff together for the draft from a new role, new perspective.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, what's going to come down to is on draft day, I think is most interesting is like he's been in that room so many times and seeing things from a different perspective. Now you're the one making the call along with
maybe
your head coach, along with your ownership. I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into that thing. It's going to be very interesting. Again, we have to trust that within that building, those roles have been shaken out and they know what's going to happen on game day, on draft day. Here's who's making the decision and here's why.
Yeah.
And who's in those conversations?
Well, I just wonder, looking back at Kwesi, because very few organizations, I would assume, the GM is making a selection without consulting the coach. I mean, there's got to be in-house responsibilities taken by the head coach, by the defensive coordinator, by the people involved that identify these individuals. I can work with that. I can make that work. And then it doesn't. There's culpability there. But, I just wonder partly, going back to they spent, $340 million on their roster a year ago, most in the NFL.
Yep.
Even if we had gone to the Super Bowl, or even if we had been a playoff team, if McCarthy looked good, we were still going to be $45 million over the cap. So just even take like the drafts out of it. And again, that collaboration or however the heck it looked or worked in there. We were always going to have to go, oh my God, Brian O'Neill's last year of his deal, he's 23 on the cap. Darisaw, 22. Jonathan Grenard, 22. Hargrave, 21. This was always going to be a complete financial rat's nest and a mass exodus. So even taking the draft out of it, part of me is thinking, yeah, the general manager was let go because he made a complete disastrous mess of this team financially, that regardless of last season's outcome, there were going to be the mass exodus that we're seeing now.
I think the one caveat to that is then where does the onus fall on the financial decisions? Because at the end of the day, when you talk about Brzezinski, that's the role that, at least as an outsider who doesn't understand the day-to-day what he does, he's in that position to help manage this thing to get it to the right spot. So clearly it's GM down making the decision. We're going this direction. Rob, make it work. And you try to make it work, and now you get your cap in a tough situation. You're in a bind. Now it's about fix it time. And a lot of this stuff is done just because you look at, where the Bears are sitting. Well, when you got a young quarterback who's really good, you're not spending, $50, $60 million a year on a quarterback. It allows you to make these decisions in free agency that is just different. And we were in that position, but we went and spent the money these other directions. Didn't necessarily work out. Now we're going to find that new direction. This is a turning point in the organization with a really good roster. And this isn't an overhaul, but there's got to be some hard decisions to be made.
Let me set this up with some qualifiers. Okay, these are feelings hurt avoidance qualifiers. This is in no way to say Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was not this person. This is in no way to say Ryan Grigson et al., others with the program are not this person. All right, here we go, 3-2. So the face of the franchise, I guess you could say, is Justin Jefferson, but Kevin O'Connell is also a major, major piece in this equation. And Rob, every bit as well, if not better than me, Brzezinski. If there's anybody who at any time, because O'Connell is extremely well respected, former coach of the year, has won dramatically more than he's lost. We all know all the stories. Got to win a playoff game, whole thing. To whom much is given, much is expected, whole thing. But nobody, including Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Vince Lombardi, or Tom Landry, have made every decision the right way. Okay? So if there's anybody in that building who has the ability in friendly fire or friendship-like fashion to say, KO, let's chat about this real quick. Why? What do you think? And go back and forth in non-confrontational fashion like dogs, a man's best friend. It's this guy, Brzezinski, and I think that matters. Yeah, it does matter. And his personality, and because he's been here for so many different coaches and so many different now owners as well, is you have this perspective of the long play of I've done this and seen this and have all these relationships and connections. And that matters because KOC is looking at Rob Brzezinski to say, I can trust this guy and we can work together. And I think that matters. That trust is going to be. And I don't think he's overmatched. Right. No, I mean, and I think the perspective he brings from the cap side is going to be unique in a say of, hey, this really hurts us or this really helps us. Here's why, although you like player X, Y, or Z, here's a position it puts us in now in 3 years, et cetera. That to me, it's about his professionalism, his ability to work with guys, his personality. That is the number one reason why this will work. I've been I've been excited to ask you this question for about a month because I've asked Pete and I've asked Ben. You're the only one of the trifecta not to have faced the fire of this question.
Oh boy.
Did Brzezinski ever squeeze you on deals while you were here?
I always love that Lord. Unbelievable. Did he ever?
Rob was squeezing you.
Did he ever? You remember the day I came in here when he asked me to squeeze out some cash on that I was making too much money, wanted me to take a pay cut.
Thank you.
That was when our boy Zimmer came in. Now you're going to get me all fired up.
I'm just wondering if Briz ever squeezed you.
And he does it in a way where he loves you. He loves you, but he's going to squeeze you because he's just got to do it. And you know what? And that came a decision where the coach comes in and says, hey, do we need to pay this to this guy because what are we getting from him?
Oh,
I'm not saying
so
Zimmer.
Is this 2015?
I'm not saying Zimmer said that.
Yeah.
I just don't know any other way it could have went down.
Yeah.
And I love playing for Coach Zimmer, but he came in, he said, hey, this is my team. Here's where the money's going to go. I'm not sure of the personnel, not sure if Chad's going to fit into this system. Can he make changes? And I had you say, hey, you know what? I'll bet on myself. I'll take the pay cut. And I got scooped all the chips eventually. It took me an extra year.
You got squeezed.
And, but I ended up getting, the biggest win there was to be able to retire a Viking, play 11 years.
Amen.
And still get the chips they owed me in my 11th year.
Yeah.
So I got those dollars back.
So what you're saying is you got over on Brzezinski when he thought he was squeezing you.
No, he definitely got the win. I mean, you can't take that.
He's the best.
He's the best. And
Versic and I sat down with him at the Combine for a 25-minute interview. And like when I started, I just started laughing.
Yeah.
I'm like, why am I laughing? Oh, because I've known you 27 years. You're the bomb.
Yep.
You're great to private. You can be trusted. You're not a back talker. You're not a bleep talker, which is rare in this day and age. And you're the type that can be talked to about professional and personal stuff. And the heart, you could just feel the heart. And I'm like, all of that's between Pete and I. And I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
So you got like the GM role here, man. This is cool.
Yeah, I think he's not, he's coming from a professional standpoint of, I'm not trying to climb to something else. I want to be here. I'm, we'll call it content. I'm happy to be here. I want this organization to win. I'm all in. I'm not looking for if I do well, I can go get this job, or if I do well, I can go get that job or get these dollars.
Yeah.
It's not about that.
Agreed.
It's about doing really good in this role because I love this organization, team, and city, and state, and their fan base. And I think that matters a lot. But he's also, which we haven't said, he's extremely smart, but he can articulate that and he can use that. And I think that's the most important part. And
he's calm.
Calm. He's been there, done that.
Yep.
He knows everybody. He's trusted. Yeah, love it. Love it.
What if Brzezinski and staff nail the draft? And when they nail the draft. When they nail the draft,
there we go.
And the players help immediately, and they win markedly more than last year. And he rolls into Matt Thomas's office looking for a raise, and he gets squeezed. I would love
the new
that.
Money guy squeezes him. I hope I get invited into that meeting just to squeeze him.
Lieber didn't get squeezed. Lieber, accordingly,
of course he did. Look at him.
Got everything he wanted.
Guys that look like that get whatever they want all the time.
Holy cow. Chad Greenway, courtesy of Grey Duck Vodka and Spirits. From the rumor mill, these are reliable people tweeting this and reporting on it. If Allen and Hargrave indeed are released, then I'm guessing they feel certain that the Vikings would feel certain they can get what they want in the draft. This is weird to say because everybody's like searching for the best new three technique. Like the three techniques and defensive tackles have kind of become the new quarterback in free agency and the draft. However, with the way the Minnesota Vikings run defense is de-emphasizing the defensive line due to the way Flores calls a game. And the reason I say that is because Nordo and I talked about it yesterday. Somebody tweeted, I have no idea who this Marcelo was or whatever his name was. Like, if you're a defensive tackle defensive tackles, defensive linemen, they don't flourish or it's not super important in a Brian Flores defense. Javon Hargrave retweeted the tweet. So I'm like, damn, is that really him?
Wow.
So, on his way out, he kind of offered up a shot there saying, hey, you're right with what you're saying. So, de-emphasizing defensive line, even though you got Jalen Redmond and stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, I think when you look at that, you look at our season, and you might be able to say that from a pass perspective, a pass rush perspective, because you're bringing pressure. Guys aren't able to go 4 across and pin their ears back and go get a rush. Mm-hmm. You're trying to get creative. You're trying to send a safety. You're trying to send a back. You're dropping defensive linemen into coverage. Then we check those run stoppage stats and the fact that gutted our season this year.
Good point.
It gutted our season from the standpoint of we couldn't stop the run. We can't beat Atlanta because we can't stop the run. We can't win certain games that we had to have. Looking back, a game away from the playoffs, you go get 2 of those back because we can stop the run game, and tell me it doesn't matter to have defensive line, right? And because you're not putting up the splashy, I'm going to get 14, 15 sacks.
Yeah.
There's multiple ways to play defensive line and be really good at it. Check the Williams wall, right? Check these really good interior defensive linemen. Check Linval Hungary. Like our ability to stop the run and make quarterbacks beat us in a certain direction in a league now that is now emphasizing the run game more so than it's been emphasized in 20 plus years.
Good point.
We better get that thing shored up, because if we don't, we're gonna have a problem. And to me, that's where defensive line is a priority. Now, what does that defensive lineman want to do? He wants to get sacks, because guess what? That's where the dollars come. Mm-hmm. And it's all, and that's where that big free agent contract. Go get double-digit sacks. A couple years in a row, boom, you're gonna get a $30 million piece. I mean, it's the way it goes these days. So I understand where Hargrave's coming from the retweet of, hey, yes, I want to get more, but reality is our personnel. We have to worry about, can we stop people?
Yeah.
And last year we didn't do it enough. Later in the year, of course, we got it going, but we can't have that gap in the middle.
Let me close with this, with J.J. McCarthy. Is what's low-key frustrating me through all of the loud free agent quarterback noise I and others are hearing and enduring, because free agency officially begins Monday, is I and others have stopped focusing on McCarthy and an expected plan to help that investment grow, mature, and improve. Brzezinski told Pete and I at the Combine he feels some of the criticism of McCarthy is too harsh and unfair. So, I mean, like, J.J. McCarthy's name is just completely lost in this whole equation.
Yeah, and I think you have to remember that this kid is a rookie. In games played, still to this point, he's a rookie. Yep. Like, middle of his rookie season, towards 3/4 of the way through. So you have to give him that, and you have to be able to be patient enough to understand that. Now it's about, how do you bring him to that next phase of his career? Who do you bring in to help along with that? That's not going to either threaten, right, or say, hey, you're going to sit because we can get this guy for a year. You're going to watch. I don't know what that conversation is like. I'm not sure what the competition is going to be like. I'm not sure what the direction we're going to go, but we need a plan and go after the guy who gets us that plan to work.
Yeah.
Don't give up on this when the guy's in the middle of his rookie year. And I think that's one thing as fans, you got to be patient. You got to focus on the actual, we want something so bad, but the reality is these other quarterbacks are sitting and waiting and going out and playing, or they have a really good rookie year and they have a sophomore slump, or Bo Nix comes and has an okay rookie year and come back second year really strong. Like, it hasn't been just show up, just ball.
Yeah.
And got to give more time.
Great seeing you.
Great to see you.
Look forward to seeing you Friday after Friday after Friday after Friday. Best of luck with the basketball
Thank
this
you.
evening.
Thank you.
God bless you. And
We
your
didn't
family,
talk. We
man.
didn't talk high school hockey one time.
Who do you like and why?
I mean, I'm not a hockey guy, basketball guy, but this thing we have here is so special and
It's
unique.
awesome.
And I'm looking at the double A. You got Tonka, Rosemount, but then you got Moorhead, Edina in the Final Four. So you got Moorhead, Edina, Tonka, 3 of the blue bloods left. Very excited to see what's going to happen in the double A. And I'm kind of our farm's in Delano, so I'm kind of a Delano fan.
Yeah.
They're in the semifinals of the Class A, so
Yes.
I'm all fired up. I love it. Can't wait to watch.
Yeah, so of course you'll go to Grand Casino Arena and watch all of
That's in
this.
St.
Tonight,
Paul, I think.
Right? You don't cross the river. You got basketball.
I got basketball tonight.
Go Wildcats as the next level goes. Thank you, bud.
Thank you.
Chad Greenway, weekly 9 to noon with the Friday Football Feast. Second half of the presentation is around the corner. You're listening to KFAN.
Hang out with Justin Guard, Meat Sauce, Max, Parker, and Halvey. At Hop House, our Bracket Bash watch parties, they're going to be going on March 19th and 20th. Catch the games and score giveaways like 65-inch TVs both days. Get the details, KFAN.com, keyword calendar.
About some
hardcore football.
Sat down and chatted this morning with Football Immortality, Peter King. I had 9 questions in front of me to hit Peter with. And his answers were so thoughtful and vein-opening that we broke this bad boy up into 2 segments. And with this one, I asked him about the NFL getting together with gambling sites. And I asked him, is it a non-starter for you, PK, or does it bother you?
Bothers me tremendously.
Ooh.
You know, it was 8 years ago that Roger Goodell spoke about gambling like it was COVID, you know, like it was the scourge of professional sports. And now they invite it into the living room and have it sit at the dining room table with them, and they're a willing partner with all these gambling companies. Look, the NFL is a bastion of greed, period. There's no way anybody can convince me of anything otherwise. And so the NFL will say that, well, you know, look, gambling now is legal in whatever 39 states. I don't know how many it is. So, you know, we are going to go into business with a lot of these gambling companies. I get it. But to me, there's so many examples when you watch games on Sunday of the NFL selling its soul to these companies. And I don't like it. And I just think in a few years, we're going to see hundreds, thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of lives ruined by sports gambling. And I think it's wrong. And I think the NFL could and should have a conscience about it.
Peter King, a very pointed commentary on gambling in the NFL. Thank you for that. Are there other facets of the current NFL, Peter, that trouble you?
I mean, I think the biggest one is the NFL trying to go to an 18th game. You know, the NFL will pat itself on the back over and over, time after time, day after day. We are doing so much for health and safety. Well, if you're doing so much for health and safety, in 2021, you asked all of your best players to play 6% more snaps. So in other words, a 6% more of a chance for a guy to get a serious injury. And now you want to add an 18th game. Okay, that's going to add 6% more. So in other words, over the last 5 years, whenever they add the 18th game, it's a freight train rolling down the tracks. It's almost certainly going to happen. If they do that, that'll mean that in the span of a couple of years, a game that is already incredibly injurious is going to get 12%, is going to subject its players to 12% more risk of getting injured. That bothers me a lot. It's like nothing is enough. After they get 18, I will guarantee you that someone in the NFL is going to start planting the seeds. We ought to play 20 games.
Jeez.
I mean, Paul, it's, you know, you see this game. You see guys get carted off week after week after week. You see guys getting CTE in this game, and dying young and all this. And I think football's a great game, but I think at some point someone has to stand up and say, enough is enough. We need to appreciate the game as it is right now and stop trying to continually, instead of saying, hey, we make $25 billion now, let's set a goal to make 35 in the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Can the NFL do it? Probably.
Right.
But at what cost? Look, somebody in the players union has to stand up and say we are not going to do it, and they have to campaign for it. A big star has to stand up and say we are not going to accept the playing of an 18th game, and if it means that you're going to lock us out or do whatever, go ahead and do it. See how long that does. Anyway, whatever.
All right, so just a couple more here, PK. Peter King, 9 to noon. So off what you just said about take it to squeezing everything out of the metaphorical turnip that you can get. The NFL going international. I remember.
I love that.
Okay, well,
I love that.
It continues to expand. I mean, we now have games in Madrid and Australia coming up this year. But see, I remember my first experience calling a Vikings game in England was at Wembley when Everson Griffin toppled Big Ben and sacked Ben Roethlisberger to win the game. And I talked to you after that game, right when we got back, and you were loving the NFL going international. In fact, the first regular season game was in 2005 in Mexico City. So this international flavor, does it make 40 years of the game your book?
It does. I would have liked to have written more on it, but I went to the first two Germany games. I went to see Brady against the Seahawks in 22, and I went to see Mahomes against Miami in 23. And I love it because, Paul, I'm telling you, when you go over there and you see how many people in these countries absolutely love the NFL. I can't speak for Madrid. I hear it's pretty tepid there. But there are countries, England, Ireland, Germany. Germany is nuts for the NFL. Why wouldn't you want to develop that? I mean, quite honestly, Pete Carroll, after that game against the Bucks in 22, he said that, and they had a 9-hour flight to the game. He said, I hope they schedule us here next year. I mean, I think the teams will complain about the logistics and the length of the flight and all that stuff. But most teams really enjoy the experience. And I know that you can do things about the bye being after this game. You can do things, you can arrange it so that it isn't going to be really terrible for the bodies. Now, let's see what happens in Australia. The only thing I would say about Australia, and yes, it's a 15-hour flight. That's awful. I get it. But the one thing for the Rams and the Niners, but I would just say one thing about that. They're going to probably play that game on Wednesday.
Ooh.
Okay? Nobody plays in training camp. So in other words, those two teams are probably going to go to Australia 5 or 6 days before the game.
Yeah.
They're going to practice over there. They're going to play this game. They're going to come back. They'll get back to the West Coast at, let's say, Friday morning. Okay? They'll have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and maybe Tuesday off, and then they'll prepare for the next game. I just don't think that is the incredible hardship that some people will make it out to be. It's like when the Friday night game happened in Brazil and Green Bay and Kansas City had 8-hour flights after the game. Yeah, it's a long flight. It's borderline torturous, whatever the right word is, but it's bad. But you also get in Saturday morning, Saturday noon, and you have Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, plus half a Saturday off. So I don't think the travel should be the reason why anybody gets down on it. Plus, it allows for people who love football that 9:30 Sunday morning window on the East Coast, 8:30 in the Twin Cities, to have an extra game. If you don't want to watch it, if you're going to church, you're doing whatever, you don't watch it.
Right.
Most of those games wouldn't be national games anyway.
Yeah.
They'd just be part of the noon 1 p.m. package, on either Fox or CBS.
All right, last one here, and thank you very much for the extended time, Peter. Peter King at Peter_King via X. Lastly, the book is called The Game. It's going to come out in October. We'll have Peter back on the 9 to noon show close to the book release. But if you like these stories, or shall I say, if you love these stories, and 9 to noon, yours truly and Nordo, and a lot of people listening now, we can tell by the text machine, are really enjoying these stories. Go to www.norton.com. www.norton.com. Pre-order the book called The Game. Last one. Peter's access to the best of the best in the history of the NFL is unprecedented. And that's not a hyperbolic statement. I mean, there are age-old journalists who would say the same thing. What are some keys to earning that trust, Peter, and sustaining it for multiple decades?
I mean, the biggest key for me was working for Sports Illustrated. Look, in 1989, when I went to SI, I remember in 90 or 91, I walked into the Cowboys locker room on a Friday afternoon, and Michael Irvin yelled, "Hey, we're in a Sports Illustrated game this week." And, so that was a big deal, okay, in those days. And that was the good fortune. Covering a game for Sports Illustrated was bigger than if anybody from ESPN, other than probably Chris Berman, showed up, and he didn't cover games really. So that was a huge factor, because if you could, Deion Sanders, why did I get close to Deion Sanders? Because he knew I could put him on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Not me, but, I could do stories that would land him on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And so, that's why I think that's the number one reason, the fact that Sports Illustrated allowed it. But I think the next reason was, even when Sports Illustrated's importance and significance started to diminish, let's say, 2008, 10, 12, whatever, I think I had the kind of relationships with people, veteran people in the game. You might look at, well, geez, what about how do you get in a room with Andy Reid for 15 minutes alone after the Super Bowl in 22 and 23? And I will say, well, I spent a week with the Green Bay Packers documenting a week in the life of a football team in 1995, and Andy Reid was a tight ends coach. And we talked. I didn't know who he was. I mean, I knew who he was, but had never met him. And he started talking about, wow, I always kind of wanted to do that job. I wanted to be Dr. Z. When I went to Brigham Young, I wrote a column for the school paper. And that's what he really wanted to do. So, in other words, over the years, Andy Reid would make time for me, because he loved talking to SI. And even after that ended, he'd make time. And so that really, Paul, I am the beneficiary of an awful lot of good fortune. Plus, I was just one of those guys who, not that I wouldn't take no for an answer. I've taken no for an answer a lot of times, but I've always asked the question.
PK, NDN.
How good was that?
NEXT. Loved it. He's football immortality. Nick Foligno, though. News du Nord is next.
News du Nord is brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. You're feeling the felt each and every day. Poker, blackjack, and table games. You're also having sips of chips and just having a great time. It's a family affair, of course, during live racing season. So many events, live music. It's a blast in Shakopee, specifically at The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. We mentioned it earlier in the show. It's NHL trade deadline today, I think until 2 p.m. Central Time. And the Wild last night, they added a right shot depth defenseman by the name of Jeff Petrie. He's 38 years old, long career, most recently with the Florida Panthers. So that was last night. And then this morning, Bobby Brink, Minnetonka's, and somebody on the text line said he may have grown up in Bemidji as well. I know it's Minnesota, though, for Bobby Brink. Won a title with the Minnetonka Skippers. He's 24 years old, and he was most recently with the Philadelphia Flyers, as he is now a member of the Minnesota Wild. So, Bobby Brink in the mix. And now this one's fresh, hot off the press. Looking for more intel on this. I don't know what the Wild gave up to get him, but we have a family reunion here in Minnesota, specifically St. Paul, as Nick Foligno.
Yeah.
Whether it was long time with the Blue Jackets, I think he was in Ottawa. He's played nearly 1,300 games in his career. The elder Foligno, of course, Marcus's older brother, Nick Foligno, coming from the Blackhawks to St. Paul. That courtesy of Russo Radio. That's just within the last 2 or 3 minutes. So Minnesota Wild fans, again, leading up to the trade deadline at 2 p.m., you're just doom scrolling and just mashing on that refresh button on your timeline. Give me Stamkos. Give me Trocheck. Give me XYZ player. Well, how about Nick Foligno? Nick Foligno, 38 years old, now a member of the Minnesota Wild.
It seems fair to say those in the Trocheck covenant, hoping Vincent Trocheck, who was a healthy scratch, roster management scratch by the Rangers last night, would come here. I just really don't see any way that'll happen now with all these deals. At Russo Hockey via X, elite follow all the time, but specifically today. As Nordo just said, he tweeted an hour ago, Wild acquire winger Bobby Brink, send prospect David Jiricek to the Flyers.
Yeah.
And right above that, Eric Johnson, St. Louis Park native, I believe, spent nearly 20 years in the NHL. He's an analyst for, I think, ESPN now. But Minnesota,
the former Colorado Avalanche, Eric Johnson?
Yep,
okay, yeah.
For sure. Eric Johnson tweeted, great move by the Wild. I played with Bobby Brink, and he's underrated. Defensive game has improved a ton. Can trust him on both ends of the rink. Great kid. Then Russo comes back. I know a lot was made when John Tortorella scratched Bobby Brink in Minnesota a few years ago, where he's from. But from what I gather, Torts loved Brink and felt he became a true pro, and that Guerin/Kelleher talked to Tortorella a lot about Brink at the Olympics.
Not like I know Tortorella, but doesn't that sound like a Torts move?
Yeah.
Bobby Brink excited to play at what was the Xcel Energy Center. It's hometown, home state.
Right.
And Torts is like, nah, you're in the press box tonight, brother.
Well, it reminds me of when Kurt Rambis coached the Minnesota Timberwolves, and their first round pick was Kevin Love. And everybody was at the season opener to see Kevin Love against the Sacramento Kings, and for whatever the reason, Rambis didn't start him. like why? I mean, holy cow! Russo at Russo Hockey also tweets, Brink is hustling to Las Vegas. And the anticipation is he'll make his Minnesota Wild debut tonight against the Golden Knights. That one's on KFAN with O'Donnell, Budsy, and Alex Stalock. Then there's this for Russo to repost a tweet from somebody named Dom with about 100,000 followers. I think he covers hockey on a national level for The Athletic. For him to repost this indicates that he's a deep believer. And the repost from this Dom with The Athletic, love this trade for Minnesota. Bobby Brink is a sneaky good ad that fits their ever-present defensive identity. Not a Jiricek believer, writes Dom.
Yeah.
And then he has some Jiricek, Bobby Brink comps. But this Elite Hockey Mind writing sneaky good ad that fits their ever-present defensive identity plays into what you discussed 2 days ago, and I brought up in the opening segment yesterday with the LaPanta chat.
Yeah.
Where I really, really enjoyed Anthony dissecting the victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning, which, by the way, lost again last night, and that team's completely reeling. And he talked about the defensive identity of this team and winning in the postseason. Now you get Elite Hockey Mind saying, Bobby Brink, I got all his albums. Good ad fitting the defensive identity. I mean, Billy G's playing fast right now, man. Holy cow.
Well, so we would call ourselves the Love Covenant, and for years, the program that follows us, the GRUM, they would call themselves the Tough Love Covenant. The reason I bring that up is...
We're the Friday Football Feast, 3 to 6:30, the Football Beast.
Exactly. But Brandon Molesky, producer, Common Man program. You mentioned sneaky good ad and all of these things. And I mean, let's get pumped up for Bobby Brink here.
Tennessee's an Elite Hockey Mind.
But he did write, bought Jiricek for a first, second, third, and fourth, and sold him for a third line winger.
Okay.
Yuck.
All right.
That was from Tenna about an hour ago.
Okay. Well, I mean, he and others can choose to dwell And if they want to, that's great, because clearly it did not work out for the haul that was given, as we discussed a little while ago. There are one of two ways to look at it. You can either move for something that you are absolutely dead set to make work.
Yeah.
Okay. And this doesn't look great, and it seems to be getting worse, but damn it, I can't be wrong, and I can't face this public scrutiny or scrutiny from Mr. Leopold, the owner. So we're going to make this work. Or you can recognize I struck out.
Yeah.
And it's time to get out and move on. So, yeah, I mean, that's with respect, that's low-hanging fruit right there.
So the trade deadline is at 2. Also, Russo, you mentioned some of his posts on X. He noted that it was future considerations that the Wild sent to Chicago, and he put in parentheses, a.k.a. nothing.
Wow.
So this is actually, I mean, you effectively got Nick Foligno for free. Mm-hmm. So we still have just over 3 hours, 3 hours and 30 seconds for Bill Guerin to continue making moves if he is so apt to do so. And then the trade deadline will be complete, and the Wild roster, for the most part, will be complete.
When I say, or I've said before, Michael Russo is the preeminent beat writer for any sport. And really, he is the most detailed, bulldogish, hardworking beat writer that I've ever come across in my life. And that goes all the way back to when I wrote for the Pasadena Star-News, 89 to 93. And this is another example why. It's Russo tweeted 40 minutes ago. I mean, look at the depths of this. Now, John Wroblewski?
It's Wroblewski. He was the coach of the Olympic team, yeah.
The ladies, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Okay, so Russo tweets, not that they'll necessarily play together, but John Wroblewski told me Bobby Brink and Matt Boldy had, quote, unreal chemistry, end quote, at the 2019 under 18s, and he'll, quote, thrive under Heinze, end quote. I mean, it's 2019 to 2026. Okay, but I mean, still, to have that in your back pocket to drop on a day like this, I'm giving you covenant claps, man, because that's just next level right there.
He just never stops. And so, I mean, you might as well just do it then, shouldn't you, PA? You got Kaprizov, Hartman, and Zucchi at your top line. Second line, Eriksson Ek, Matt Boldy, and Minnetonka's finest, Bobby Brink on the 2 line. Then you get the Krem line back together with Yurov, Trenin, and Tarasenko.
Do you think Bartley thought we meant 11 a.m. Pacific?
I think
he's an actor, so he might still be on Los Angeles time.
So I did text the Hollywood superstar that is Adam Bartley. He's here actually. So just within the last 2 minutes. So
got it.
Let's pause and let's bring in Mr. Bartley and get his thoughts on Bobby Brink to the Minnesota Wild.
Now, News du Nord, 13 minutes long. For those who just tuned in, NHL trade deadline day. Your Wild has been active. Just give us a quick little recap from Petrie, dishing it to whomever.
Yeah.
Hey, to Foligno, this whole thing.
That one's free, O'Donnell. You could have that one for free, Budsy.
Well, remember Kyler the Creator?
Yes, I do.
That's what I call him.
Yes.
That's what I call him when we play the cards. He's Kyler the Creator.
And you're going to have to dust that off starting on Wednesday.
I'm ready.
I have seen so many videos, by the way, of people on social media. Hey, Kyler's welcome to Minnesota, and it's just some kid walking.
Unbelievable. Yep. Saw Kyler Murray outside of Valley Fair today. They show this 3-foot kid looking through a chain link fence.
Can't ride the bumper cars.
At a bumper car bit that's not open. Let Kyler ride. Come on, guys.
Depth defenseman, elder statesman Jeff Petrie. That was last evening, I believe, coming from the Panthers. He's going to join the team in Vegas. And then Bobby Brink, the 24-year-old Minnesotan from the Flyers. He's here in exchange for Juracek. And then Nick Foligno, Marcus's older brother, is now joining the Wild from Chicago for quote-unquote future considerations, i.e. a little freebie and a chance for Foligno to taste the postseason again. That's News du Nord.
Excellent work. Adam Bartley, Minnesota Vikings fan and Minnesotan, and also big-time actor. Adam Bartley joins 9 to noon in studio to chat about a bunch of things around the corner. You're listening to KFAN. Good morning.